So, what is it about the chaos of progressivism? And when I say progressivism, what I mean is, what is the perpetual chaos of deconstruction, or deconstructionism, which is postmodernism. Postmodernism, see, the whole idea of postmodernism, which should give you some indication, the whole idea of postmodernism is to deconstruct all of the societal norms that have existed previous to it. Now, why is that important? Because it's perpetual. So the social norms of today have to be eroded because every social norm is oppressive. Okay? Do you hear that? Every social norm is oppressive. So we have to take everything prior to now is now obsolete. Now, where does this come from? This comes from the emergence of science and technologies that help increase the ability for humans to flourish. Central heat and air. Central heat and air make fireplaces obsolete. So people can have fireplaces, but it's more for nostalgia, or in just in case of emergency when the electricity goes out. Not emergencies, emergencies. So what we have is this notion that since technology and science can be abrogated, scientific theories and scientific and technological technologies, let's say, since they can be removed and usurped by newer technology, therefore that axiom applies across all knowledge bases. Only it doesn't. So they do the same thing with literature. Anything prior to this moment in time is obsolete because the new literature coming out supersedes it. Why? Because new technologies supersede old technologies. Only it's not actually true. There are actually some older technologies that supersede new technologies. Because in our haste to create convenience, we have missed necessity. We have missed things that are necessary. And so we think everything new is better. So postmodernism is built on the premise that we need to deconstruct everything prior to now. Because everything prior to now is wrong and it is oppressive. And whoever were the people that were promulgating these propositions are oppressors. Even if it happened to be you or your best friend or your cohorts or those that you trust. So what do we call this? Now, I've pulled at this 10 different ways, and I still keep coming to the same conclusion. Postmodernism is getting rid of the tallest man in the room, because the tallest man in the room is the oppressor. And every time there's a tallest man in the room, that tallest man is the oppressor. The tallest person, if you will, in the room is the oppressor. So what happens is, at some point, you will become the tallest person in the room. And when you become the tallest person in the room, you will therefore be the oppressor. Now, what I foresee happening is, this will happen just enough to get rid of the most proximal opposition. What does that mean? Conservatism, Christianity, Republicans, cisgendered heteronormative folk. Those are proximally the closest enemies to the deconstructionist. So the deconstructionist is going to try to say, we are now going with I almost went to a German accent. I don't know why. We are now getting rid of the tallest man in the room. Okay. We're getting rid of the tallest man in the room. Now, they will try to switch the game back. When they're the tallest person in the room, they'll try to switch the game back. And you say, no, they won't. I'm going to give you a classic example. I'm going to give you a classic example of how this works. Okay? Occupy Wall Street, right? The 1%ers. The 1%ers, these evil business owners who oppress and steal the wealth of the impoverished. Okay? Now, they occupied Wall Street to try to push back on the 1%ers. Yet, the same group of people are praising Jack Dorsey, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Jeff Zucker, all of these, the New York Times, CNN, ABC, Disney, they are praising these organizations, which are the exact 1% that they were fighting against. Only they weren't fighting against this 1%. Here, this is the dirty little secret about capitalism. The 1% is always in flux, because there's a chance that you could be a billionaire today and lose it all tomorrow, and then someone else rises up and becomes a billionaire. The 1% is actually fluid. It is not a static thing where one person is taking away the wealth. Every 20 years, there are new millionaires and new billionaires. Every generation, there are new millionaires. Now, there's some that stay consistent. There is generational and ancestral wealth, but by and large, it is not. That's how it was done in the old world. The new world is if you can prove your value and worth in commerce, and you can make yourself valuable, then in that value structure, you will be rewarded with wealth. Okay? So that's one example of how that works. Another example, Brett Kavanaugh, #BelieveHer. Brett Kavanaugh is the tallest man in the room. Not a fan of Brett Kavanaugh. I think that it was a mistake to put him on the courts. Personal political opinion. I almost think, this is a bit conspiratorial, but I almost think that the Democrats pushed so hard on him that he was sort of a Trojan horse. That's just my personal opinion. I know. Whatever. But #BelieveHer, because Blasey Ford could not remember the date when it happened. It was 20 years ago. She never really told anyone. All of her evidence was anecdotal and spurious. It didn't seem to be what we would consider evidence. Okay? Since #BelieveHer, and it's like you have to believe every woman, since #BelieveHer, there had been multiple high-profile Democrats who had better evidence, as we would consider it, and yet the same people calling for BelieveHer said, no, we don't want to believe those women because we think it's political. Okay? So that's what they do. Here is the problem. They're trying to change the game. Here, this is the problem. As in Young Frankenstein, a riot is an ugly thing. Once you get one started, once you get the torches and the pitchforks, it's really hard to turn down the tenor of the fire. They've ginned up Antifa. I don't know what's going to happen to them. Now, Hitler did the same thing. He ginned up the brown shirts, and Mussolini ginned up the black shirts. And then once they got to power, they killed him. They offed him. You're like, whoa, wait, this turned to Hitler? No. Am I saying that Joe Biden is Hitler? No, I'm not doing that, because I don't do what the progressives do. The progressives, every conservative for the last 50 years equals Hitler. How do I know this? Because every conservative is a Nazi. And so when a conservative rises up, well, he's Hitler. Why? Because that's how you get rid of the tallest man in the room, the most proximal enemy to yourself. You deconstruct it and you make it seem like it's the most unpalatable, immoral thing in the world to get rid of it. And once you get into power, you change the game. Oh, we're not doing postmodernism anymore. Now we're doing science and facts. Yeah, but your science and facts don't equal science and facts. Yeah, but I'm the tallest man in the room now. Sit down. Just have a nice seat. Go ahead and sit down. Now, these are some of the problems that we're facing. And the problems are, we think we're above being gullible. And we're not above being gullible. We are in fact privy to it. If we weren't manipulatable, if we did not have the capability to be manipulated, then tech giants would not spend billions of dollars on algorithms and shadow bannings and censorships and clickbait and ads if we did not have the ability to be manipulated. Now, what makes us even more primed for manipulation is deconstructionism. So why are we primed in deconstructionism to be more malleable? And the reason is because deconstructionism takes away every foundation upon which Western society is built and says it's oppressive. So suddenly everything you thought you knew. So understand how knowledge works. Okay, we have the unknown. Can't even be comprehended. The Buddhist, or the Hindus, the Hindus call this Nirguna Buddha. That's the Buddhist, Nirguna Buddha, or I think it's Nirguna Buddha or Nirguna Brahma. So I'm either Hindu or Buddhist here. I'm mixing these up. But Nirguna means without properties. Okay? That means the unknown. In Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam, and even in primal religions, we call that God, Great Spirit. Unknowable. Cannot be comprehended. Okay? Now, that's with our limited transpositional consciousness. Now, what happens is, when we can know something epistemologically, when we can know something, then we can know part of it. We can't know the whole thing because, well, we can't both exist and think about the thing. So I can't both consciously comprehend something while physically doing the thing. They're two separate things. So I'm sort of a dual thing here. I'm both body and soul. I am a dualistic. I am a complex being because I have two parts of me, one essence, but two parts, I guess. Yeah, one essence, but two parts that oscillate. Consciousness and unconsciousness, consciousness and unconsciousness. And as the vacillation goes forward, I am able to bring unconscious things into my consciousness. Okay? I'm able to bring those in. And so while I'm thinking about things, I then understand that there's another being beside me, another essence beside me, and I want to articulate to them this thing that I know, or this thing that I think I know, or this thought, or this existence, this experience, or this understanding I have of how a certain piece of matter behaves. And I want to articulate that to someone. So through the course of human history, we have progressed from phonographic to logographic, linguistical communication. Okay? Well, we have learned how to use language, both written and spoken. And as we speak and write these languages, they are the expressions of thoughts we have about existence. We are expressing through verbal annotations, through sound waves that go into the auditory canal, and also visual stimuli, that markings and symbols upon pieces of parchment with ink to indicate some sort of symbology of something in a certain way that matter, whether it be myself or something else, has behaved. That's what language is. And through that, we have sent satellites into outer space, rovers to Mars, and as the controversy is coming back around again, we think we may have sent someone to the moon. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care. We've been to space. That's pretty incredible. Just in that. We have satellites. We have a rover on Mars. We have an International Space Station. All that, okay? So, we have used both formulaic and metaphoric symbology through visual stimuli and sound waves to express ideas to one another that actually increase human flourishing. Postmodernism comes through and says, no, everything that prior to now, every sound wave, every symbolic etching up until now has been oppressive. And actually hasn't spoken the truth, but has created a perception of reality that does not exist. So we're going to give you the real reality. We're going to deconstruct literally everything around you. None of it's real. It's all an illusion. You create reality for yourself. Now, part of that is true. You do create reality by how you aim. But let me tell you something that postmodernists don't tell you. When you aim at yourself after you have deconstructed yourself and you have deplatformed and you have depillared and you have taken down the Parthenon upon which information and knowledge is set for thousands of years, and you come through and you try to aim at such a concept abstract as self, how the hell do you aim at self when you have deconstructed every bit of possible epistemological knowledge about what self is? What the hell are you aiming at? Guess what? You don't know. You don't know what you are aiming at. Why? Because every being prior to you who had an experience and said, hey, this was my experience, this seemed to work, this has worked perpetually for thousands of years, maybe it's a good idea. Postmodernism and deconstructionism says, no, anything prior to right this minute is oppressive and wrong. I create the future. I aim at myself. And you go, really? Who are you? What do you mean? Where did you come from? What the hell does Z mean as a gender? What? You say you're a man. What does that mean? You say you're a woman. What does that mean? You say that you are you're trans species. You're trans-abled. By deconstructing everything, you have literally wiped away your existence from your existence. And you aim at nothing. And I guarantee you, if you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing. And that, my friends, is called sin. Because you miss the mark. Because there is no mark to hit. You know what will happen is you'll put the bow and arrow down and you won't aim at anything because there'll be nothing but pitch black darkness and confusion and chaos around you, because that's all that you have sown. If you deconstruct everything, if you deconstruct all ordered social norms, you will have nothing but chaos, because nothing will be tethered to anything. And if that is your philosophy, you will simply lie down and cry, because there will be nothing to aim at. No one will know anything, and there will be no flourishing. There will only be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. There has to be something to aim at. If you're not aiming at the thing that we know for thousands of years that has been labeled as truth, it may need to be tweaked occasionally. You may need to put a half a degree or a quarter of a degree one way, but at least you're aiming at something. And we should aim at something beyond ourselves, something transcendent, something worthy of worship. And that, my friends, would be God. If we aim at that, we may not hit it, but we will get really close to something resembling truth. That's why we study the masters. That's why we stand on the shoulders of giants. Deconstructionism is not the answer. It is simply chaos. So to get back to my first point, we're going to go full circle here. We're going to full circle. I'm going to bring it all the way back in. Why do postmoderns have to continue to perpetuate chaos? Number one, because their philosophy is too weak to stand on its own. So their philosophy can only be a wrecking ball, and it has to continue to destroy. And the only thing that there is to cling to is destruction. We're going to destroy chaos. Because if they stop the chaos for one moment and the dust settles, they will see their nihilistic futures in front of them, and it will be terrifying. And so in order to keep people satiated, in order to keep the mobs, the bloodthirsty mobs satiated, they have to continue to point to things to tear down. And they will never be satisfied, because it's chaos. Chaos is never satisfied. Chaos wants to destroy all order. That is the nature of chaos. The dragon wants all the gold. The dragon wants maximal carnage, because when it does that, it wins. When there is order, when there is bravery, when there is courage, when there is a paladin worthy of facing the dragon is slain or tamed. So why is the left always looking for a villain? Someone to demonize? Because they are going to take away every single piece of ordered. And here's the thing, they are going to take away even the things that they have ordered. They're going to order stuff, and they're going to have to deconstruct their own order, because today supersedes yesterday. Today supersedes yesterday, and it does it every single day. So today I can be a man. Tomorrow, my being a woman supersedes it. And so there are an infinite set of possibilities, an infinite number of facts, and I'm going to pull from that, and every day I'm going to change the facts, and we're going to flourish. No, there won't be a flourishing, because all you're going to do is you're going to sow chaos, and you're going to sow disorder. Hold on to your hats, folks. The deconstructional chickens will come home to roost. And they are bringing with them suffering, weeping, and wailing. And there'll be a pale rider trotting along beside them. How can you have a flourishing society when your aim is all things and nothing? You can't. Examine all things, hold to that is good, and let go of the bad.